Hey, how are you everybody? So we are starting our third video of this series that we are building a design system for Blue Note WordPress theme. And I was checking a little bit before start the video that we have to pretty much work on those buttons as also for those images, and on the template later on. Things that we have to do is the text area for comment, right? Because for now it's just a very simple rectangle shape, and we have like an input field here. Pretty much they have only one size for now, but it's good enough. But we can start from that. Okay, so that's it's gonna be our main goal for today. Okay, so let's start. The button, they already have like light or dark modes that we can use. So the best thing to do will be creating a new collection. We can add forms, I think, because once we have different type of form elements, will be great if we can just have all of them in one place. So we have the color, so button will be the main category. Okay, and for that probably we have like a text color, right? So we can just even have like that. We will have the background color, right? Background, and we can have a border color, border, and they have another one that is the focus color that we can use. Focus. So we have pretty much a lot of different colors already that we are going to apply here. So this is going to be our light mode, and this is going to be our dark mode, right? So and we're going to start building based on that. Okay, so also I noticed that we have like one primary and another secondary button they're using, button 1, button 2. In order to do that, actually thinking about these now, we may need to create another category, right? Because probably they're gonna live inside primary, right? Oops, primary backslash. So let me just move all that under here. Okay, so we're gonna have like a primary, and we need another copy for the secondary. But before we move to that, let me just move this outside quickly. And as you already know, I want to create like a sections, right? Just to make sure that everything's gonna be pretty organized. So I will use the same background so we can just compare. But of course, later on, we may need to have like different colors for the light or the dark. So if you want to use something like this, you can add a subsection inside, right? And we could even use like a color they're using here, so we can test and have the same feeling. So this is going to be the light, and this is like a forms, buttons, and we have like the light mode. Okay, one thing that is horrible here. First, we have all this text style that is 22 bold, for that 110 3. 22 10 110 3, which is like very close to the menu item, right? But what I will recommend is to have another text style that is linked only for the button, right? And there's a big reason for that, because if you want to change the style, whatever it is, it's going to be way easier to manage that information, right? So we have like the site title, all the typography here. So what I will do to make sure that we have is we could save that information on the buttons, because it's gonna be easier to manage all that. So we can just have like a string that is gonna be the font family, right? Font family. We can have the number for the font size, and what else we have to link? We have the font weight, right? Okay, so font weight. I think the font weight comes first, right? If I'm not wrong, just use the same logic. No, font size, font weight. Oh, okay, so font size, font weight. Okay, so for the font size, we can use the body ones, right? Like, because for now, I believe the both are the same. So which is okay. So what we could do actually is creating another one for forms, because forms are very specific fonts that you can use, especially for inputs. So I will do that, and this one is going to be forms, and this also, of course, I'm gonna use forms. Where are you, forms? Here. And I want to make sure that the font size is gonna come from the forms. So that's the thing, we don't have that for this one. Let me use like a directly the font size from here, that is 22, and I will use 22 for now. And the font weight is gonna be regular, right? For now, it's what they are using, right? No, they're using bold. So we're supposed to use bold as well. Okay, so this is gonna be our font style for the button. Let me duplicate this one, or at least link that to the side menu item, and I will detach. You see that it's supposed to be bold, so this is gonna help us to create, you see, like the button primary, the font weight for the button, let me see, is gonna be bold, and the size for the font is gonna be 22. Okay, so now we have that correctly. The text color is black, right? So which means that if I select here, right, from the library, it's pretty much like the primary color, which is black. So I will save that as a button primary. Okay, and this can be linked also for the button, right? So I have the text color. There's no background color in this case, I think, because it's transparent. But the other ones, they have the color, right? Like, so let me just test one thing, because I think is there, they just have this button as a transparent thing, right? Like yeah, so this is transparent, so we don't have a transparent color. Maybe if I reduce that, let me see if I do this. No, I cannot do that. So this is the background color. Maybe like if I reduce to 0 for now, it's gonna be good enough for us. Okay. And the border, if you see, is the black, so I can just link that to the same primary color. And the focus state, which is this, actually is black, but is transparent right now, right? So let's say that I selected the black color, but in this case is going to be 0. Okay, so this is the light mode, but of course it's not even ready. So let me duplicate this for us quickly. This is already linked to the button primary, and what I'm gonna do is press Shift A, right? Which is gonna create auto layout automatically for us. So I see that the size of this button is 77, but let me check something here quickly, right? Because it's pretty weird the way they created that thing here, maybe. Oh, here. Okay, you see, like it's good because we can have this button. So if I want to inspect this element quickly, we can see that this button specifically, right? They're 154.68, right? The size 68. Okay, and here is 77, right? Why? So let me see the size of the font size. It's fine. It's 22. Okay. So it's supposed to be smaller. And what is going to help us a lot is because we have already all the variables that we can use, right? So if I see that spacing that is 10, maybe I want to use 8, and the space between them, which is 56. We don't have 56, 48 maybe. It's going to be good enough, and 24 here maybe. Let's check it out. Okay, so what's happening? That is not shrinking automatically, so I want to check it out. Is because it's not hugging. Okay, so if we start hugging the elements, we have a button that now, right, like it's gonna be a little bit better maybe, right, like it's 72 202 by 72. Okay, if I reduce this a little bit to 20, it's gonna be the 64. Maybe 64 is in between that, right? Like because it's like I think I look like a taller, so I think I will remain with the 24. Okay, so this is gonna be our button. This is the label. I prefer to have this as a label, right? We can define later some sizes because like for now it's like a hugging, but if you want to make that button to have like a minimum width, you could do that, right? Like because otherwise it's going to be too small. Or also you can just set the size for the button so it's not going to change. So let's say that the max is going to be 72, so we make sure that nobody will resize that more than this, and also nobody's going to make like a smaller than that, right? So it's always going to be 72 for the size. Okay, so this is our button pretty much. Okay, this is like the label that we have for the primary state, that is the default state. The hover pretty much is like the opposite, right? They're gonna change that. You have the active state and you have focus state. Okay, so let's work on that. So now that we have what's gonna be our primary state, I think it's gonna be easier, right? If we can just like duplicate that, okay? And once we duplicate, because we have all these sizes and everything else here, so let me see, the stroke color supposed to be linked to the button here, border, okay? And this one now that we have, okay, so the border, let's say you could remove the border, or maybe like because it's the same color, it's not gonna change anything for us. But in this case, for sure, the fill color that we want to use is gonna be the background color here, right? Okay, so here supposed to be the background color as well. Oops, no, I made a wrong link here, sorry. Okay, so background color for here. Okay, so we have two different things now, because for the primary default state, the colors are gonna be like that, right? But if we have for different states for each one, they're gonna change the color, right? So actually everything that lives here is gonna be the default color, right? Oops, there's a bug. You see, like they didn't. Okay, so let me move this back. So this is everything related to the default color. So if I duplicate that, I want to have like the hover state, and the hover is gonna tell us which colors I want to use, right? Like for the background, in this case, I want to use the black that we already have, right? For the text color, as you can see, is using this secondary color they have, that is this background color. So what's gonna happen is like this one, the text color is gonna be like that, okay? And I think the other ones, they look good, but we need to make sure that we are linking them correctly, right? Because they're linking to the primary hover. This one is like a primary default, but should be the hover, right? And let's see on the selection if like there's anything else. No, everything linked to the hover state. Okay, so another thing that I notice here that we can improve, and there's a bug here that pretty much made my Figma reload, is that the first letter is always uppercase. So what we can do to make sure that this is going to work in the same way is changing here, right? The title case to be like this. So the title case, if I need to change whatever, is always going to use the first letter in an uppercase. So this is the hover. I will just rename here quickly. This is the default state. This is the active state. And actually the active is very close to this. Let me just duplicate this one, and the focus state is very close to this. Okay, so the focus is gonna be a little bit tricky because we have like this external border, but I was thinking about some solutions that we could apply. So this one is the 6E6E, right? Like I don't even know if we have this color, but let's duplicate that. This is gonna be the active color. So the text color supposed to be the 6, right? 6E6E. So let me see. Is the secondary? Yeah, is this one for sure? Okay. Text color 6E6E. Okay. And the background color in the active, it doesn't exist because it's gonna be 0, right? The border color will change for the secondary for sure, and the focus state is 0. It doesn't exist yet. Okay, so that being said, this is the active state. So everything that is background supposed to go to the active. So I think sometimes it's better to check here because you can see that this color that is the border supposed to be the active border, and this is pretty much the text, so it's going to be the text. Okay, now we are following the same idea, and here we can just end doing the focus that is very close to the default, right? So let's duplicate the default. So this is the focus, okay, and on the focus, actually no, let's duplicate the hovers, sorry, the hover. So this is gonna be the focus state. So the focus state is very similar to this, and we just need to make sure that this is the border for the focus state. This is the background for the focus state. This is the text color for the focus state. Perfect, we have all of them here working pretty well. Okay, so the only thing that we have that is different between them is because if you have a focus state, you want to show this dashed line that is going to be outside, right? Like a little bit more external from that. So to help us, I will just copy this one to make sure that we have the same design just right here. Just come back here, focus state. Okay, let me just remove, paste here. Okay, so this is the focus state. Boom, 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 boom. I'm just moving here, so that's why it's having all this. Okay, so the problem with this is because we need to make sure that this is going to resize. So focus state, this now supposed to be the primary color, right? Because we want to show a color in this case. And yeah, so it's going to be tricky because you want to make sure that this is going to resize according to what we have, but also in the same time you want to make sure that it's going to keep aligned the buttons, right? If you have a button side by side, I think you want to keep that in the same way. So what we can do is like if we move this inside, right? Because it's inside the auto layout, it's going to be here. So focus border. And we can use this one to ignore the auto layout. So this is going to bring this border, right, like to be controlled without that, right? So we can just like define the space that we want to use, like pretty much is almost, let me test here, right? Is 2 pixels, right, like that they have here, and we're gonna do the same thing, right? We're gonna come here and use like a 2 pixels here. Okay, doing that, what is the challenging part of like doing this? Okay, so this is 2, this is not 2, right? Like let me resize here. Now it's 2 here. It's gonna be 2 here also, and we have 2 and 2. Okay, perfect. So what is the challenging part is because whenever we are resizing that, right, automatically, let's say submit, right? You want to make sure that the focus state is going to follow the same, right, like an auto layout. So I think the best way to do this is using these constraints that now is center, but if I use maybe left and right, top and bottom, let me see if it's gonna work. No. So let me see if we, oops, no, I think I changed it on the wrong place. So left and right, top and bottom. So now it's working, you see? Yeah, okay, perfect. That's our focus state. Beautiful, okay? So we have all of them working here now. They're looking good. So what I will recommend us is just reviewing quickly the colors itself here that we want to use, because it's pretty much similar. So here the only thing is that the background color is going to be the text for the default, right? This is the background, so it's going to be the primary. Border, okay, could be the primary as well. Focus state is going to be transparent, so you can just keep like that for now. Okay, hover state, that is this one. For this one, the background, now the text color is the primary. The border color is the primary. But the background is transparent in this one. And the focus also is transparent, right? Okay, active. Active, the color of the text is going to be the background. The background color actually is the secondary color, right? A border can be secondary as well. And the focus is going to be 0. Nice. Focus is this one. So the text look like is going to be the black. The border is black as well. Background is 0%. And focus state color is the primary. Perfect. So we have the light. Oh, sorry. This is not the light, the dark mode. I made a mistake because this actually is the secondary button of this. Okay, that's fine. We can fix this quickly because this is supposed to follow this color. Sorry, guys. So let me fix that quickly for you guys. But the color is that the background supposed to be like a transparent, right? Okay, good, no problem. So the border is going to be the secondary, no, the background color, and the focus is 0. Okay, it's going to be easy. So the hover state now, the text is black, the background is the secondary color here, the background, sorry. The border could be the same color of the background, and this one, which is the focus, is 0. Okay, the active is this one. So the background, no, the text is the secondary. The border is the secondary, but the background actually is transparent. So what we can do is just make like this 0% opacity. And the focus is 0 as well. So the focus state now is fun because this is this color. Background color supposed to be the background here. Okay. The primary for the border we can just use the background. The primary for the focus actually now is going to be background as well. Okay, perfect. Now I fix it. Sorry about that. Sometimes because I'm doing like this very late in the night after a week of work. Today's Friday, by the way, so that's why I'm a little bit tired, but I want to keep going because otherwise we're not gonna finish this, and I want to make sure that we can finish. Okay, so having that in your mind, this is a good example that we could create multiple components, right? Like if you come here, you can create a component, but also you can create a multiple components, or you can create a component set. In this case, let's create a component set because I want to already have all these beautiful buttons all together here for us on the light mode, right? So this is going to be all the buttons that we have. Perfect. Okay, so let me just rename as buttons or button only. And let's test, right? Because now that this is like a one frame that is light, and this frame that could be the dark. Okay, so we have both of them here. So this, if I change that to be the light mode, and if I change that to be the dark mode, right, you don't see the difference. So let me just change the fill color here. Boom. Okay, so we already have that, right? That's beautiful. And everything controlled by the variables. So which means now that, let's say that this is gonna be the hover, right? You see, we already have them working pretty well. If I just go here and I duplicate again, okay, it was a bug here. We can have the active state, and if I want to have the focus state, we can just have the focus state. Perfect. And this is showing the border just right there. Okay, that's cool. Okay. And this is my button. So if I want to have a label here that I can type, you could use here a label and assign a value for the text property. The only thing that I don't like right now on Figma is because once you set a text property on the component, you cannot use the variables for some reason. I think it's supposed to be fixed in some point, or I don't understand the idea of not allowing people to do that, but I will just fix that. For now, I will use like a text label, and we can just also do all that, linking them to the label, right? So it means that whatever I type here right now, I can just say hello is going to submit this, is going to resize that for us automatically. Okay, so that's the idea for now. And so we have the light and dark mode for the primary. So what we are going to do is organizing, right? This is the button 1, or the primary button. So I want to just make sure that we have space to create this. So this is the state of the button, right? So just to follow the same structure for this, I want to just rearrange them. So we have the default state, we have the hover state, after that active and focus. Okay, so we have all of that, and now we want to create the secondary buttons, right? So the secondary, we go back to the primary here, and we just duplicate that whole group, and we call secondary. So now it's going to be way easier because it's just about checking the button 2, right? And we can just review that. All right, so the default state, the light mode for this one, the text is the background color. The background supposed to be this color. The border is this color. The focus is this color. Perfect. Okay, so let's go to the hover. Hover state. The text color, no, it's going to be the primary. The background color, it's empty, right? Like it's transparent for now. The border color is primary, and the focus color is empty. Okay, perfect. Active. Text goes to background. Border is this. Background is this one. Okay, perfect. And no focus color. Focus. Okay, so text is the primary. Background is going to be transparent. Okay, and border is black, black. Okay, perfect. Now we figured it out that. So now let's go to this one on the secondary, the full state. What we can see here is like the text on the dark mode goes to black. The border, the background goes to the background color. The border goes to the background color. It's fine. Okay, perfect. Hover. Hover. The text is background. The background color actually is transparent. The border is this color and the focus is empty. Okay, active. Active, the color of the text is primary. The background goes to the secondary, border secondary, and that's it. Focus. Focus, the text color goes to background. There's no background color because it's going to be 0. Border is background and this focus is background, so perfect. So we have that. Beautiful. Okay, so what we have to do now is duplicating that, and once we duplicate that, we're going to create a problem for us, right? Because all the buttons that we have, they're gonna have a little bit of conflict, right? Because they have different state, so they created different states for us. But I want to create actually a new variant. Oh, no, not a new variant, a new property actually. New property. Okay, so that's weird. Okay, here. You see now they changed the interface, so sometimes it's harder to find. So this is going to be the type of button, because all these buttons here, they're gonna be my primary button, and this is gonna be the secondary. Okay, and we have all these states, so I will just move that to the top because I want to select if it's a primary, secondary. The states later we can just select that, right? And we have the label. Okay, cool. Why is not closing this window? Okay, now it's closed. Perfect. We have both of them, so which means that let's test, right? We have to assign the values correctly for the colors that we have. So this is primary text color, so we have to go to the secondary text color, and this is the border, so we have to go to the border default, and this is going to be the background default. Okay, perfect. This is what we have. So this one is the hover, so secondary hover. I will just make like this because it's gonna make it easier for us to change color. So this is the border, this is the background, this is the text color. Boom, easy, right? So let's go here. This is now active, right? So let me change active. And okay, so this is the background, this is the text, and this is the, oops, sorry, this is the background, text, border. Okay, I think it's all good, right? Active, border, background, okay, and text. I think I changed all of that. Cool. Now this is going to be the focus, right? Focus, and let's change the colors, so means that this is the focus. So the focus color for this, right, is this one. The border is the border here. The background is going to be this background, and this is the text color, so this is going to be the text color, right? So this is what exactly each one of them represent for us, right? Okay, so let me make sure that all of them, they're using the secondary, and this is all of them, they're using the secondary. Okay, there's something wrong here because it's using a lot of those crazy states. Okay, so this is supposed to be the default state. This is the hover state, right? Like a hover. This is the active one, and this is the focus. Okay, so now it's gonna be clean. So this is like a, okay, so let me duplicate it. That is gonna be easier. I will just come here, duplicate that. Okay, so this one, okay, so if now I change everything to secondary, so it's all of them using the secondary. Okay, so we have our button system that actually we don't even need to use this here, but the button system lives here, right? And what we can do is having, if you guys want to use just as a documentation, right? You can do that. So we have that, and the dark mode is this one, okay? And we can just like make a simple documentation so people can see that you can have the primary and secondary here states, right? Like and they're using. Okay, so the best way to do this probably is gonna be using the frame, because the frame can set automatically. Let me test one thing. Yeah, you cannot, or you can set actually here the light, and if you can set here the dark, right? So okay, cool. So let me test one thing. I'll duplicate everything to here, and this one now I can set to dark. Beautiful. So now we have like the primary, secondary buttons, and that's what we have, right? So if you want to like use the same names they're using here, you can do that as well. But for now, I won't do that. For this, I will delete because we don't need that. Okay, so I can just maybe button 1, button 2. Okay, button 1. You guys wanna see button 1, button 2. Okay, and what is the name? Like a hover state, they are calling that. So we'll just copy the text and I will just paste it here. I'm using Shift, as you can see, so we can just have like exactly the text that we need. Active. Perfect. Focus. Okay, cool. So that's what we have for now, right? So let me do one test, right? Like, because if I have this and this, right, and I wanna like align them, right? Like yeah, so they're gonna be aligned. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's good. Perfect. So we have the buttons. As you can see, every little detail, like it takes a lot of time to be built. But I think it was good because we could finish the buttons on this video. The link itself is really hard to do this because whatever like a text people are changing is going to be a little bit more complicated. I used to do a text style for underline because before Figma wasn't able to do this really well. So now you can use like underline, bold, italic, all this stuff on the settings, which is good, but also sometimes can lose a little bit of the, you know, the rules that you are setting to your system. But at least everything is working good now. So for the next one, I will just work on the images and probably let me think about it here. Yeah, I think it's important that we can set the images because we can use after this to start building those images and cards, right? That's good. Here is using already the hero text that we created. So it's like it's looking good. Okay. All right. So see you guys on the next video. Okay. Bye bye.